topic you will study, and the name of the topic is literature. And in Unit 1 you study the literature and biography. Okay, biographical knowledge. So dear friend, before that we understand what is biography. You heard the word autobiography. The autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi, entitled "The Story of My Experiment with Truth." Mara Satyana Prayogo. It is an autobiography because written by the Gandhiji, but he has written by someone else, but as directed by a person. It is called the autobiography. I myself write down my life. What biography means? A story of person's lives or lives. વ્યક્તિના જીવનની કથા એટલે એને કહેવાય બાયોગ્રાફી. આત્મકથા એટલે કે પોતાના જીવનનું વૃત્તાંત. અને બાયોગ્રાફી એટલે કોઈ વ્યક્તિ દ્વારા લખાયેલી હોય, બીજા વ્યક્તિ દ્વારા માહિતી એકત્રિત કરીને લખાયેલી. Other person who can collected the documentation and authentic proofs just like birth certificate, education certificate, and interview diaries is work of art. And on this base of these sources, a person write down the narration, or you can description of portrayal of narration, description or portrayal of some persons. It is called the biography. And autobiography written, a person himself write, or he can written by, directed by the other person about his life story. So it is whatever that a critic should have the biography, because the question rises in the mind: why should the writer write down this kind of the work of art? Why Geoffrey Chaucer write down the Canterbury Tale and the story of the different tales of Night Tale and Partner Tale? Why Shakespeare wrote this kind of the work of art, a tragedy and comedy? Why Ben Jonson write of the comedy of humor? Why John Dryden write down the comedy of humor? Why Rachel Lee, Etheridge, these are the writer of the comedy of men? Why we have to once again write the question, the word poetry written by the Susan and you can Sigmund, and these are the writer write down the, these are the writer write down the creation. Why the George Orwell write down the Animal Farm in paper 3, unit 3? These are the questions raised in the mind whenever we know about the biographical knowledge of the writer. Because Charles Dickens, if you want to understand, because the master blaster of novel writing, Charles Dickens, a Victorian novelist. If you don't read the biography of Charles Dickens, without it, if you don't know about the life story of or biographical notes of Charles Dickens, it is difficult for any reader or any critic to analyze the work of art. Because when we know about Charles Dickens belong to the poor, very poor class, he can do the number of the job, he can have, we can say, suffering a lot of poverty, and due to his death he write down his center character, the middle class. And even that, if you don't know about the life story of R.K. you don't know why should the R.K. created the Malgudi days. Even you want to know about Chetan Bhagan's work of art. Chetan Bhagan is the graduate of IIT in New Delhi, and he is as a writer. Whenever you find out that those are the first work of his life, the 5 point something, he can make the 3 Idiots movies. Then you have to want to know about a one-nighter call center. You easily understand about that, and even there's 2 states, and you know about the 3 major mistake of my life. In this way, these are the work of art. You can analyze, understand if you know about the life story of the. Even that, if you want to understand the Shakespeare, it is not easy to. Why should Shakespeare create tragedy? So somehow we can give the example of that. If you should read the Sir Walter Raleigh short bio, Sir Walter Raleigh write down the short biography of Shakespeare life. If you read it, it will too much helpful to understand the work of tragedy and comedy, or we can sonnet of Shakespeare. That's why we can say that a critic should have the biographical knowledge. I think that if you read it, then you can understand why the Arcanine create the imaginary town Malgudi. It is similar that in which the geographical or nature surrounding in which the Arcanine lived. And this surrounding is created by him in the imaginary town Malgudi. Okay, dear friends. Now, fifth one. Critic should have sharp memory. Sharp memory. Critic should have sharp memory because he read the number of the work of art from different languages, ancient, classical languages, or psychological languages. And whenever he make the critical analysis of any work of art, it must have sharply recall and remind that work of art. He get caught, and we are impressed towards some of the good orator. सारा वक्त क्या प्रभावित है because whatever he read, he recall the shlokas of Sanskrit, he recall the Hindi shairis, or he recall the lines of the Gujarati language, Hindi language, or English quotes. And this was his memory, and he can easily whatever he say about that. Whatever he read and whatever he can know, he can all together in the one topics. Just like that, critic should have the sharp memory. Because dear friend, if you want to make criticism, if he read this kind of poem before a long time, it is not possible that he can open and he can search out that poetry. A poem, yeah, I have to read that. But in his mind, he easily recalls that whatever he has the read. For it, that's why Matthew Arnold, remember again and again, Matthew Arnold's instance Bharmuko, or say portrays. What, dear friend? Matthew Arnold portrays that in our minds there should be lines and expression of the great master, then the character, the high quality of poetry are the touchstone by which the measure a work and see if it is the mark. Just even easily we can remember in our mind. Those are idioms, idiomatic phrase, rudi prayer. Those are the proverbs, kehwate. Even then, the great lines and great God of the great master in my mind, and it is called the touchstone method. And Matthew Arnold write down the critical work or theory, and that is called the touch. Matthew Arnold. Touchstone method, and in this sense, a great work of art has these memorable and quotable lines which provide the message to us. To err is human and to forgive is divine, by Matthew Arnold, by Alexander Pope, whatever he dear friend. To err, manas matra bhulne patra. माफ करे भूल करे ते मानव, माफ करे ते देव. These are the, we can say that, quoted memorable lines which helpful. The critic should have the sharp memory, because this guy, whenever you have to write down some, and this kind of in your mind, this kind of proverbs, idiomatic phrase, great lines of the great peoples, a smile and smile be a villain. William Shakespeare, Hamlet. Okay, yeah, these are the lines. Yeah, as a critic, he should have sharp memory. Whenever he can write down any literary work of critical notes on literary work of art, so he can easily recall those are the great lines of the great poets or any other work which he has all together compare with it, and altogether he makes write a comment on it. Further, a critic should have creative experience. It is not, we can say that compulsory, but it is critic should have creative, because in the beginning of the stage, whenever they read the spots, James making of literature, it is a good critic of engineer, good critic of gardening is gardener, good critic of poetry is poet. This question is partly right. Okay, some of the writers, they play the both the role. Dr. Samuel Johnson, Matthew Arnold, we can say that even that these are the Dryden, Guthrie, Alexander Pope, H.T. Collins, William Wordsworth. Yes, my dear, these are the writers and poets. They play both the role. They play the role of poets and writer. They also play the role of critics. William Wordsworth, H.T. Collins, we remember that. William Wordsworth, they are the great because romantic poets. H.T. Collins is also the romantic poets. But both altogether, they have to write down the yes in 1798. Remember, my dear friend, the year 1798. Yes, lyrical ballads. We discuss about in my dear friend in your units there, fancy and imagination others work of lyrical ballads. Preface to the lyrical ballad by William Wordsworth, biography literature by S.T. Coleridge. They wrote the critical work, and the other side they are the poet also. A dramatic poesies, depends of a dramatic poesies. Here we have find out John Dryden is also the writer and also play the role of the critic. Alexander Pope, Wreck of the Law, Linciard, and many other poetry written by them. On the other side, you can write down essay on man, essay on criticism. These are his essay, a literary essay or a critical essay. These are the writers play both the role. But other side, Shakespeare only a genius, master poet, dramatist, great tragedy writer and comedy writer. Other side, you can see the poets who wrote the 154 sonnets.